Hi, everybody. I'm Bryan Mudd, a fan of South Plains politics. Here's your talking points for this week. Another power outage scare from the good folks at ERCOT this week, while Lubbock's power experts say there's nothing to worry about. And Texas Tech is poised to claim its top prize from lawmakers in this legislative session. They're about to welcome their new students in Wichita Falls.
From the studios of KAMC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points with Bryan Mudd.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Also this week, good trouble. We might associate that phrase with the late John Lewis and his decades of social activism. These days, it might also be the message from folks asking you to vote yes to make the statement to ban abortions in Lubbock. Passionate people on both sides of that issue will try to push their own message that their good trouble is worth the fight and worth you voting for or against. We've heard from city leaders who say banning abortions here is potentially an expensive folly because what federal law is, right? But others claim there's a way around that. Our Alyssa Tejas looks at the local political action committees in charge of the different messages you're hearing.
Soon, Lubbock voters will head to the ballot box and decide whether they will be voting for or against making Lubbock a sanctuary city for the unborn.
Project Destiny Lubbock started with 5 grandmas who heard that there was an abortion clinic coming back to Lubbock, and then those 5 grandmas wanted to do something about it.
The Lubbock Coalition for Healthcare Access formed when we knew that this ordinance was going to be on the ballot. We knew that there had to be a campaign to oppose it,
causing public action committees to begin their grassroots effort and engage with voters.
Really, it's just one goal, and that's to stop abortions in Lubbock, Texas, to stop ending the lives of the unborn.
This ordinance is really extreme. It can threaten doctors and nurses with frivolous lawsuits. It will also insert the city into personal and medical decisions that really shouldn't be the city's business.
City Council unanimously voted against the ordinance in November, saying the ordinance is unconstitutional and therefore unenforceable.
You know, the city council actually hired outside help to get legal advice on this, and that's why they voted no, because they know it's going to open up the city to lawsuits. Again, when our tax dollars here could be better spent on roads and public safety.
If Lubbock is challenged, there is an attorney, Jonathan Mitchell, who co-authored the ordinance. He co-authored the Sanctuary City for the Unborn ordinance, and he is willing to bring his whole team along and offer his services completely free of charge.
One PAC says they're not for or against abortion, but instead the Lubbock taxpayer. They say in part, quote, if this ordinance passes, it will immediately trigger a federal lawsuit that could potentially cost the Lubbock taxpayers millions of dollars.
That's Alyssa Tejas reporting. A lot of this was pushed by our state lawmakers, leading some to just wonder why they didn't make a push in Austin to make the entire state abortion-free. While the answer to that isn't clear, there are several abortion bills pending with the legislature again this session. And listen to Lubbock State Senator Charles Perry talk about pro-life strategies and how that works in part 2 of his interview with our West Rappaport.
Why are those bills getting so much attention this session, in a session where we've got COVID to deal with, we've got energy to deal with, we've got education to make sure that we're continuing to fund? How does an issue like abortion cut through that and end up becoming such a priority in the Senate?
So I've been here 10, 11 years. We've always had big pro-life sessions. This was probably arguably the biggest pro-life session that we've had. On multiple accounts, partly because as we do these legislations over years, the opportunities create themselves. We see windows, and so we exploit those windows. We've got Amy Coney Barrett at the Supreme Court level. We've always waited to try to push the narrative to a level where hopefully it's done, Roe v. Wade's repealed, but if not, at least given back to the states. So the strategy's always been is to clog the system up, to get the attention, to make that discussion happen. Win or lose, we need Roe v. Wade to change. And if that's get rid of it or if that's give it back to the states. And so we believe there's a window here, along with just legislation has created opportunities. We pass something over the interim, we see, hey, that opened that door. Let's go open that door wider. So that's kind of, I think, the narrative. And then when you have an administration that you have today that believes it's okay to kill the baby up to the day it's born, that even is more of a sense of urgency, I think. So it's a war. It's an all-out battle, and it's a war. And for people on the life side, we're called to exploit every opportunity and fight that fight every day. So it's been good. As far as mixing with issues, you look at the history. We've always had big pro-life sessions. Texas is a pro-life state. I hope that never changes, and we're going to stay aggressive on that.
Do these measures have a chance in the House? I mean, we saw the Speaker's list of healthcare priorities, and those weren't on them. Does that mean that it doesn't feel like as much a priority over there?
I'm in the Senate, so I don't dictate agendas over there. I will tell you, my lieutenant governor and my governor has made this clearly on numerous occasions. He is a pro-life governor, and he will sign bills that get to his desk. So, I don't know how much clearer of an objective you can make that be if a governor makes that part of his State of the State address. So I think we've got support up and down. The fact that it wasn't listed on a priority list that started before session and things changed during session, a lot of times you don't know what's going to move. We've moved them all off the Senate, so we'll see. But I'm in the Senate. That's all I can control.
And similar question on sort of the gun legislation. I know you're a proud Second Amendment guy, but the Biden administration unveiling this week some gun control measures. How does that conversation look right now in your mind of the state, between the state and the federal government?
So this state, and every state like this state, regardless of an executive order, or hopefully never a congressional action that limits Second Amendment rights, there'll be a huge non-compliance. I mean, purely the individual citizen that believes in Second Amendment rights isn't going to go along willingly. So I hope that our president has enough people around him that shows the wisdom in not pushing that envelope too far down the road, because we are a country of law, and we're a country based on a constitution that gave us that right. And any impediment into that is move at your own peril. So I hope our administration is not so naive or so detached from that conversation. So that's the first level. They need to recognize that this is a non-starter and a non-go for Second Amendment people, and they won't go willingly. So it's going to be a really bad outcome, I think, if they get too aggressive. The state itself, our governor has made us a Second Amendment sanctuary state. That's one of his objectives. I haven't seen the bills. I think there's some floating around out there, so I'm almost certain that we'll get it out of the Senate if it comes up. I would suspect that the House makeup, you will still get that out. So what does that really mean? I think it's a symbolic pushback that we aren't going down this path. And it'll get tied up in the Supreme Court. Every one of these issues, I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's a Second Amendment right. You can't restrict my right to defend myself against an overreaching government or other. And so bottom line is that issue's going to go to the Supreme Court, and that's all we can do right now. In a civil society, we just do the civil pushback and let it take its course, and you won't get an injunction right on an executive order. So I think it's political pandering at its worst, and I think that he's playing to a base that is a very, very small part of this country on some level, but some people just don't get it. And I'll lay that at the footstep of our education systems, why those rights were put in place and what the thought was behind them. So different conversations, but we will be a Second Amendment sanctuary state if the Senate and the governor, and I'm assuming the House, has their way.
You were on after the shooting in El Paso and Odessa, you were tapped to be on the Mass Violence Select Committee,
right.
Is that right? How do you weigh some of the conversations that were had during those meetings about gun violence and about violence in this state with your position on the Second Amendment? I mean, how do you
It's very simple, and actually it makes my case for me. I think Lubbock guy that sold the gun is now in jail. So the guy that had the gun that went to Midland was illegally obtained, right? Didn't have the background checks done. So the laws are in place. So we don't need to make new laws against good law-abiding citizens. There's 100 million gun owners in this country, And during those hearings that we were having over this, I think I went back and looked since Columbine, there was like 30 plus, maybe 40 instances. So we're willing to take away one of the Second Amendment, not the 10th, not the 5th, but the Second Amendment right, because 30 some odd, 40 some odd instances of really bad people that the majority of them got their guns illegally. A new law wouldn't have fixed that, at the peril of 100 million good, God-fearing, gun-toting, gun-owning people. And that's what we are guilty of doing down here. When something bad happens in that very, very small 1%ers or whoever it is, we go in and disrupt 99% of the good people. So, so if you look at most of the shootings, they were obtained illegally. They didn't follow the law. A law wouldn't have prevented that guy from having that gun or that person. So there's nothing we can do to legislate the right thing or morality when it comes to this issue. There's always going to be those bad people or those people that are not quite right that do bad things with guns. My response is I want to be able to defend myself.